Dragon Ball Daima leaks, Kid Goku Super Saiyan, a new villain, and more. Dragon Ball Daima is about 2 months away from its debut, but there's still so much we do not know about Dragon Ball's newest anime. Luckily, Geekdom 101 left us with some interesting leaks recently, and it really looks like Daima is going to be way more than that sort of kids show it is currently being promoted as, or at least that's what it looks like. A new villain that comes with new threats. The Majin Buu saga really is a key point to understand what Dragon Ball Daima will be about, because it is not just about the fact that demons will once again be relevant to Dragon Ball, but the very essence of a villain like Majin Buu will be felt throughout the entirety of the show. The main reason for this being that there's a new villain that will work really hard in order to imitate what Babidi did in the past. Basically, we'll be meeting the one called Arisu, or Elise, or something along the lines, depending on how the character's name evolves in the West. The main thing about this character is that she is obsessed with the idea of Majin Buu, and so she will start recreating her own versions of the Majin. So far, it seems that at least there will be 2 new different Majins in Dragon Ball Daima, one that resembles the Fat Buu and the other looking more similar to Kid Buu. Also, it looks like one of those 2 Boos will be serious and grumpy, and both of them will lack the power level of the original Majin Buu since they are mostly failed experiments. For now, Geekdom does not reveal the name of these Majins, but he mentions that they rhyme with Buu. It is important to note that those new Majin Boos will not be Dragon Ball Daima's main villain, although Geekdom mentions that he is unsure of who the actual main villain of Daima is. As a fun fact, it seems that we've already seen Arisu in one of Dragon Ball Daima's trailers. She is that one eye that at first seems like it belongs to Whis, but is in fact Arisu's. The idea of multiple Majin-type creatures being included in Dragon Ball Daima is certainly an interesting prospect, especially since this is a race that has barely been featured in Dragon Ball's canon content so far. Nevertheless, the Majin race has been constantly present in many other secondary contents of the Dragon Ball franchise, for instance video games like Xenoverse 2. It certainly is about time for the Majin race to have more of a presence in Dragon Ball, and Daima is about to make it happen. Daima's first episode. Geekdom 101 also provides a little explanation about how Daima's first episode will start off, and it will show us the events that went down during the Buu saga, using the animation and overall style of DBZ. Will this be maintained for a long time? Well, not really, since eventually the camera will retract itself in order to lead us into a room with 2 different characters, the new Demon King and the Makaio-shin. At this point, Daima's art style will change and become the one that we will see throughout the entirety of the show. It seems that the objective of this introduction is to make it similar to what we saw during the superhero movie, with multiple scenes from Dragon Ball Z being shown in 2D art style, but then switching to CGI animation that the movie was made up of in the end. Again, this goes to show that the events of the Buu saga in DBZ will be extremely relevant to whatever ends up happening in Dragon Ball Daima. It is important to remember that other leaks pointed to the fact that Dragon Ball Daima's storyline will be centered on the upcoming new Demon King, since many demons are not okay with the one that is supposed to take Deborah's throne. That's why it certainly looks like the Buu saga will be a theme to keep in mind during all of Daima. Transformations, Vegeta and Piccolo, and more. Other than interesting plot points like Arisu in the first Daima chapter, Geekdom also revealed some really interesting stuff, like the fact that in spite of the trailers, Piccolo and Vegeta will also be relevant characters to the show. So in the end, it seems that the core group will work around Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, and the Supreme Kai, alongside new original characters such as Glorio and the Masked Majin, who will be in a sort of support role but still being big to the overall plot. Also, Goku will be able to at least use some of his transformations. Geekdom explains that so far he's seen Goku as a Super Saiyan in his kid state, and he also states that Vegeta will use a new form. Now this is not confirmed, but Geekdom strongly hinted at the fact that we would see Vegeta using Super Saiyan 3 in Daima. Yes, Vegeta has already used Super Saiyan 3 in some non-canon stuff of the Dragon Ball franchise, but if it happens, it will become the first time that Vegeta has ever used the Super Saiyan 3 transformation in a main Dragon Ball storyline. Obviously, the reason that Vegeta has never used the Super Saiyan 3 form, not even in Dragon Ball Super, is tied to the idea of it being a massively flawed transformation. It consumes a ton of ki, and after exploring new transformations such as the Super Saiyan God and the Super Saiyan Blue, it simply stopped being useful. Following this, the fact that Goku and Vegeta end up using their Super Saiyan forms may be tied to the fact that being in the demon realm, they will face all sorts of warlocks and magicians that will impose multiple challenges on the main group. Now, the nature of such challenges and their consequences is unknown as of yet, but it would kind of explain why Goku and Vegeta cannot access all of their forms and techniques. Interestingly enough, it seems that a new Namekian will also be introduced in Dragon Ball Daima. Neither their identity nor their role in the story is known for now. Namekians have been steadily showing up in Dragon Ball throughout the years, other examples of it being the fighters from the Tournament of Power, or Monaito in the Dragon Ball Ball Super manga. This new Namekian may or may not be relevant to the overall Dragon Ball Daima plot, but it is still interesting that a new member of Piccolo's race is about to show up. With everything that's been touched on in this section, it certainly looks like Dragon Ball Daima will not be as childish as it looks in its trailers. Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo will be forced to face powerful enemies that will require them to access some of their power-ups, although it will be interesting to see if Piccolo is able to access his orange state at all. That is, even if he has his orange transformation, because we still do not know when Dragon Ball Daima actually takes place within the Dragon Ball timeline. Dragon Ball Daima is about 2 months away from its premiere. As stated before, Dragon Ball Daima will premiere in October, although a specific date is yet to be revealed. Nevertheless, it's been confirmed that on October 6th, there will be an event in Japan that will be used to screen the first episode of Dragon Ball Daima exclusively. This will be an invite-only event, so it will be hard to get anything at all out of it, but we know that Masako Nozawa herself will be present. Let's hope that by then, Dragon Ball Daima's official release date has already been made public.